Welcome to J House, where we interview people we admire who have developed skills and created cool things. We want to learn from their experiences to inspire us in our lives.
This is part 2 of our conversation with Jonathan Bennick, the lead designer of Lego Mario. If you haven't already heard part 1, we'd encourage you to go back. But now we're going to continue on with our conversation with Jonathan. I heard you talk about how you started at Lego, and it's one of the most inspirational stories I've ever heard. Can you tell Caleb about that? How you started working there?
Yeah, so I out of college I started my own design company, but just kind of as a freelancer, but I wasn't happy after 4 years because I was not doing design much, but mainly trying to get jobs from our companies, and so I was building this Lego X-Wing over Christmas, and I didn't know what to do with my life, and then I looked at the box and I was like, I gotta work at Lego. Like that is, my destiny. And instead of applying for a job, I started a project for Lego without Lego knowing. I worked on it for half a year. I started with research, like what is the future of play? What does Lego stand for as a company? How do they want to kind of change the world or better the world? I looked into trends, like across not just play, but across kind of the world, and then I came up with this idea of making a physical computer game. So I had this idea of 16 by 16 tiles, Lego tiles that you can put together with RFID antennas in them, and you can put a brick on top of the tile and it would recognize that it was there. So you could basically play games like Farmville or SimCity or
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Or
Lego Mario does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mario. You were right on the trends when you were doing your research, apparently.
Yeah, and my family at this point thought I'd lost my mind.
Yeah,
because I was
you spent half of a year working on something and they don't even know about it.
No, Lego didn't know. I hired somebody else to do my job, so I invested a lot of money. I didn't really realize that at the time, luckily. But then I contacted the CMO of Lego on LinkedIn. And a few times, because he was the head of Future Lab, or at least that fell under his responsibilities. And so I had to kind of reach out to him 2 or 3 times. And then I made a 3D animation of my life as a minifigure, a 3-minute animated video to kind of stand out more, because I felt there's so many people applying for Lego jobs. I had to do something. And luckily I got an appointment to present. Then it took 3 months before that appointment was. So then I was like, okay, I'll make a prototype. So I got an Arduino and some RFID mat plates, and I hired a programmer with some crates of beer to program some interactivity. And I made a tablet app that connect to it. And then I presented that to Lego, and I said, like, I can work for you guys freelance, or you can hire me, or. And luckily, Lego was working at Lego Dimensions behind the scenes at the time, and they needed some pair of extra hands to work on the year 2 and year 3 of Lego Dimensions, and so they hired me as a freelancer for 5 months. I flew from Amsterdam to Billund on Monday and flew back on first day, but that was very expensive and of course not really good for the environment. So then they offered me a job, and then I moved to Denmark to work full time.
It's just so inspiring. I mean, you had the idea, you had the dream of working there. You build your own prototype, you connect with them, and then you end up getting there. And now you're here today where you're the lead designer of one of the biggest collaborations they've ever done. I mean, that's a big deal to be working with Nintendo. What was it like for you? I'm sure you grew up playing Nintendo like I did. You were getting to collaborate with the designers of Mario, the people who made Zelda, like some of the head thinkers over at Nintendo. That's who you were in meetings with, giving creative ideas. What was that like?
Yeah, I felt very small, compared to the achievements that these people have done. So it's been a very humbling experience for all of us at Lego, because we're most of the team are just really big fans, and we've been playing those games for in our childhood and teenage years, and still today. And I think Suzuka-san is just such an inspiring person who really has his heart in the right place. And I have a tendency to kind of make things complicated and add layers. And I think what Nintendo team is especially good at is stripping back those layers and go back to the core. And we spent 10 weeks on making Mario walk just right on the different colors. While I had idea for 25 motions that he could do, they just wanted us to do this one thing really well. and then move on to the next thing, and then move on. So I think that is a testament to what makes their game so good, is that everybody can play it.
We're getting ready for the launch. It's about a month away when we're recording this, and I know we'll post this later. For us as YouTubers, it's completely random what videos end up being successful or not sometimes, and we'll put a lot of time and work into one video that doesn't do well. What are the anxieties and the concerns and the excitement that you're feeling right now as it's getting ready to launch? What's kind of going on in your heart around that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Of course, we do a lot of focus group testing to make sure that the experience works, but it's very different. We can't leave it in people's houses for weeks at a time. And I think, just hearing you guys talk about this, that you've been playing with it and you're having fun and you want to pick it up every time, that is generally a big relief, because that is the biggest fear, that we've created something that is fun for a day and then that's it.
I mean, honestly, who doesn't want to play with this?
Well, I think the fact that it's a skill set that you have to work at, and you had to find that perfect balance of it not being too hard, that you couldn't enjoy it at first, but you can't make it too easy to where you don't want to go back and keep trying to improve. And so you did a really great job, I feel, of finding that balance. I wanted to talk to you real quick about the scoring of it, because we're really competitive and, we'll play Mario Maker 2 and then you want to see how high of a score you can get.
Yeah.
What were some of the things you had to do with technology to try to keep the scoring fun so that there wasn't spamming or there wasn't unlimited scoring and do whatever? What were some of the choices you made to help make that happen?
Again, was also a balance between, if you want to build a level with only a Goomba in it and you want to just hit him 100 times, who are we to say that that's not fun?
Sure.
Because we want to give you the tools. So we've had this magic number of around 100. If you can get more than 100 coins per minute by spamming between one or two things, we're going to stop you from it. But we also don't want to kind of stop you too much. So, one of the things is that when you hit the Goomba, once you get 1 coin, but if you hit it like 3 times, you get 3 coins. But if you hit it 10 times, you still get 3 coins. So it has this cap of 3 coins. So if you want to spam it, you have to hit it 3 times, stop, 3 times, stop. And that will result to about 100 a minute. The same goes with the friends and the piranha slider. And most of the functions, we try to balance that. But also we didn't want to take away from people who just want to do that. So that's been a tricky one.
I anticipate unofficial rules being used where it's like no holdsies, like you're not allowed to hold Mario on the piranha slide. And I think people are going to video themselves doing the different elements and then challenging using video. Are there things like that where you're hoping or anticipating certain organic movements kind of come out of this from different? Because there's different types of people who love Lego. You're going to have kids who want to just play for fun, but then you have like competitive people who love Lego that are adults that are going to be doing this too.
Or Mario fans who kind of know something from the game.
Yeah. So for example, like if you get the star, knowing that you can then go and kill any of the bad guys right away because you know that that's what the star does.
Yes, exactly. And, it gives you double coins and it stops the timer. So that's a pretty powerful upgrade. Yep. Or if you finish, just in time, so 1 or 2 seconds before your time is up, and depending on how many seconds you finish before the time runs out, you get a higher bonus. So if you finish at 90 or 59 seconds, if your level time is 60 seconds, then you're going to get a huge bonus. If you just go over time, you get nothing. So there's that kind of risk thing in there. Yeah, exactly.
How the heck did you get the idea for this stuff?
That's a good question. It's
4 years of work.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a very big, we call it the stock, and that's all of the Lego bricks that we produce. And we were just roaming around it and kind of finding fun functions. We also had one where you go in a circle, for instance. But
that's my favorite one. I love that. It's so simple. It's so simple, but you can just rack up the points. But Mario falls off if you're not careful.
And what I love about the reactions is sometimes they also when he falls off of something, it gives him, he's dizzy, and then you can't do anything for 5 seconds. So, because he's dizzy.
Yeah. Now, that's very well noticed. That is our only punishment. Tezuka-san didn't want Mario to die, because if Mario dies, then kids are not happy, and Tezuka-san wants kids to be happy. But we had to have some sort of punishment. And
he didn't have that idea when I was a 5-year-old playing Nintendo. No. I had to make it through that level without falling in the pit.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So he goes into no coin state, as we call it. And but if you have the mushroom, you can get protected from it.
What was the role of 3D printers in the testing and developing process?
Yeah, so we use 3D printers all the time at LEGO. We have a whole department, and we have about 10 or 12 of them. We were frequent customers at that department. We've made many 3D prints. Of course, the first Mario figures, they were 3D printed with the Arduino technology inside. We've had about 20 prototypes, but then each prototype would have maybe 7 or 8 iterations. So that's easily 160, 200 3D prints. Yeah. And then, of course, we have all of the elements that we created for the line. And we've created, I think, about 20 new elements. Those also have been gone through multiple iterations. We 3D print all the time. Yeah, it's a very big part of our development process.
I want to 3D print all the time.
You guys have a 3D printer?
We don't yet. We're going to need to get one. Then we can start coming up with creative ideas and just printing it out and testing stuff. Well, we so appreciate your time. We're really inspired by what you've made, and we're grateful to kind of get a behind-the-scenes look at the process that you went through. And it's exciting as we want to create our own things and develop ideas. Like, it's just inspiring to hear how thoughtful and how much work can go into the process. But then the result is so gratifying, to end up making something like this that looks so good. And again, I want you to appreciate, Caleb, so many factors go into this. They had to think of affordability. How much is it going to cost? Do we use AAA batteries, or do we make it so that it can just recharge? But that's going to make it so that not everyone can buy it. So there were technical limitations and cost limitations and design limitations. So you had to work with all of those different competing interests to still achieve
something amazing.
Yeah, to still achieve the end goal of saying we want to bring Mario and LEGO together to make something fun that people can play with. So we just are super inspired and impressed with what you've done.
He is too.
Thank you so much. It's really awesome to hear. And if anybody wants to want to know what kind of studies to do, for instance, I think I've done industrial design, where you really are that kind of jack of all trades, master of none. Yep. Some say that's a bad thing, but there's definitely those jobs out there like this one, where you have to balance so many parameters and also kind of find fun and play. That's a good studies to kind of go into.
Very good. Well, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And really good hearing that you're having so much fun. And say hello to Isaac.
If you liked what you heard, we'd love for you to leave a podcast review. To follow along on our family's adventures, connect with us at J-House Vlogs on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
We have previously worked with LEGO and Nintendo in sponsorships. This isn't a sponsored podcast, but they did gift us these LEGO Mario sets.
Thanks for listening. J-House out.